handling yourself in the open house. There are a couple of hints that we can give you about making the most of when you're talking to the prospects that walk into your open house. They involve the way you greet them, how to get the prospect's attention, getting the prospect's information, offering value to the prospect, and closing for an appointment or for the next step. First of all, the greeting. Please keep in mind when you're in the open house, the people who are walking in, they don't know what to expect. They've had probably a variety of experiences with agents in the open house, some bad, some good, or maybe they just don't know at all whether you will be aggressive or assertive or leave them alone. So when you're greeting that prospect when they first come into the open house, I recommend having a copy of the flyer in your hand, walking up to that prospect, shaking their hand, introducing yourself, and then saying something like, why don't you go ahead and take a look around the house? Here's a flyer. I'll be standing over here if you should have any questions, and then back away from that prospect. What that does is it's professional because you've greeted them, but yet you've backed off right away so that their defenses can lower and they know that they're going to have a chance to look around that open house without being bombarded with questions from you. So the next thing is as that person is walking around the open house, you want to see if they're ready to engage in conversation with you. So you want to get the prospect's attention by asking some kind of an open-ended question or easy, non-threatening question that can easily be turned into a real estate conversation, but just all you're looking for is are they stopping to look at you? Are they ready to engage in conversation with you? Examples of those types of questions are the following. So, do you live around here? Or what brought you into the open house today? Those kinds of questions that don't really take much thought to answer. When they answer yes or no or whatever, you can see, did they stop? Did they look at you? Or did they just kind of answer and keep walking? It may take a couple of those questions before they're ready to engage in conversation with you. If you say, so do you live in the area? And they say no, but they walk right by you, your next logical question might be, so where are you from? However, if you get to like the third question and these people are not engaging with you, well then you have nothing to lose but to start to talk with them and try to get their information. But normally what happens is on one of those questions, the prospect will stop and look at you or give you some other sign that they're ready to talk. That's when you have a window of opportunity to show that person that you have something to offer them that's of value. And that would include maybe you can entice them with your Tiger Leads website. Maybe you can say, I've got this awesome broker search engine that I can invite you to. That can be something of value. It depends on the situation, but you have to get there fast. For more information on what kind of a conversation do you have when you first meet a buyer or a seller, be sure to listen to the scripts that we've recorded or attend one of our classes that deals with scripts. So once you get the prospect's information, oh, by the way, when you're getting the prospect's information in an open house, don't have a sign-in book that you don't have control over. What I mean by that is don't lay the sign-in book down and expect people to sign on that book by themselves, or even if you ask them to, where they're filling out the form. A couple of things happen when you allow them to fill out an open house book. Number one, you can't read their writing, or they write down false information. So if you have your own book and you have control of that book, and you get to a point in the conversation where you're getting their information, you write it down. Two things happen. Hopefully you can read your own writing so that later when you're trying to email or call, you know how to read that accurately. And number two, it's really hard to lie out loud. So if you get to the point where you're asking that person for their phone number and they have to say it out loud to you, you're likely to get the correct information from them. So you keep control over the sign-in book or whatever it is that you're using to capture their information. Finally, you don't want those people to leave, if you can help it, without either closing for an appointment, that would be a listing appointment or appointment to show houses, or some agreement on what the next step will be. What I mean by that is if you've had a nice conversation, you've gotten their name and their email or whatever, they don't want to maybe make an appointment right then, an example of an agreement of the next step might be, okay, so what I'm going to do is when I'm done with the open house here, I'll be sending you over an email with the username and password or whatever. And then I'm going to follow up with a phone call, and I'll call you sometime tomorrow so that I can see that you received the email and that you don't have any additional questions. That kind of a thing, so that they know what to expect from you and you can follow up appropriately. The last thing to consider is after your open house, you need to take some actions. First of all, make sure to write thank you notes to all who attended your open house. You can do this right after they leave or after your open house, however you do that. But if you do it during the open house right after they leave, you can have them all ready to put in the mailbox that very day. You can also use the Sharper Agent Marketing Program to email them thank you cards. Both is not an overkill. I think you should do it. Then make sure that you call those leads and give them a reason for you to call again or take the next step. Place all of the leads that you have into a follow-up system appropriate for their sense of urgency, and report results of any interest or additional feedback to the sellers or the listing agent. You've worked hard to prepare for the open house and to conduct the open house. Make sure you don't drop the ball at all on the people that you did meet during that open house. That concludes our presentation of open house. Have a wonderful day and go out there and sit open houses.